Y'all, holy fucking shit, y'all. So, on my channel, I delve into um, concepts relating to mental health and perception, altered states. And I also delve into how my ability to consume reality affects how I live. And I had quite the revelation the other day. When I was a little kid, I remember telling my mom this like every night. I remember telling her like often, and I actually remembered the sensation because it's something that's very hard to forget. Uh, but sometimes, in your childhood, you'll forget uh, things that might be indicative of things that develop in your adulthood, adolescence, and adulthood. And this is something that it was kind of put on the back burner because it was something that it was transitory. It was a temporary experience for me, but I do think it it clears a whole fucking lot up once I started delving into it and trying to understand it. So when I was a little kid, probably like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe 12. Yeah, maybe like when I started high school, it was less of an issue. But I still experienced it. I do remember experiencing it in high school, but it was a lot less prevalent as I got older. I've had this sensation of falling head over foot. I felt like I was tumbling down a fucking manhole, um, like endlessly. I remember telling my mom about it, and she's like, "That sounds like a problem." And we told the doctor, and the doctor was like, "It's not an issue. That's a thing that happens to kids often." And we never really delved into it any more than that. Um, but I started getting migraines when I was like 8 or 9 years old, and went to the same doctor, asked the doctor about it, and they didn't know that I was describing migraines. They thought it was sinus headaches. And so there was a lot of information that I didn't have because I was seeking help from people that didn't understand what I was going through. But I legit think that as a kid, I had Alice in Wonderland syndrome. And it's just crazy because I kept looking up this falling sensation because I thought like there's something, it's just weird. It's a weird experience to have, to feel like you're falling. I then started to realize like I have other weird sensations that kind of characterize my perception and my ability to fucking just exist. Another sensation that kind of mired my perception was the experience of like spatial awareness. Like things would feel really fucking far away, or sometimes I would feel small. Um, and I mean, I had no idea that like these were things that weren't normal until I started, talking to other people and understanding their experience, and mine wasn't entirely matching up. Another thing that I would experience is my head would feel like it was split in two. Sometimes it would feel like it was on a balloon, like my head was a balloon, and I'm traveling like with my head like up here and my body's down here. Uh, it's just wild to think that like these things that affect us in our childhood set the stage for what happens to us as adults. And I think that my issues with perception as a kid very much tempered my ability to consume reality and made me more susceptible to hallucination and psychosis because I don't know, like it just very much feels that way. And Alice in Wonderland syndrome typically, kind of wears itself out. It resolves itself. And I think mine resolved itself because I don't really experience that falling sensation. Um, but I do still have like remnants of it. And I think that those remnants turned into hallucination. And maybe not necessarily that. I don't know, because like it also affected my self-image. It affected my self-image, and it's so bizarre to see so much of myself on this like web of words associated with Alice in Wonderland syndrome. One of the things is migraine with aura, and then confusional migraines. And I definitely have confusional migraines with aura, so I do see things before my migraines, and then also I experience like massive confusion and agitation. It's almost like I tried to describe it to Dig. It does. It's like literally like in Pokemon where a Pokemon will like cast confusion or like attack with confusion and it'll confuse the other Pokemon. Like I'm literally so fucking confused just experiencing life. It's really weird because it's both nebulous and so concrete an experience. It's almost like a fucking block of cheese. It's thick. I don't know. I have a hard time describing it, but I do have confusional migraines and I do have aura that goes along with my migraines. And another thing that's associated with Alice in Wonderland syndrome is anorexia. And it makes so much sense once you start to think about it, just like for a second, because when you have issues with your perception of perceiving the world and perceiving yourself, it's disorienting. And parts of your body look enormous and small, and you can't really gain a foothold in reality. And you don't really have control over what you see in the mirror. It entirely fucks up your well-being and your ability to just exist comfortably. I'm just flabbergasted by the amount of research I've done. It's been cursory, and to see so many things fall into place is just it's overwhelming. And I could understand how having both visual and spatial and temporal issues with perception. I also have tactile problems. I have this thing that I remember from a very young age, very young, like 7 or 8, where I feel like I'm rolling something in between my fingers and my hand is literally not doing anything. It feels like that, and I associate that with butthole clenching anxiety. And it's kind of fucking insane to think about these things that have happened to me as a child almost being like dominoes that have set the stage for what's happening now. I mean, now it's depression, psychotic depression, an eating disorder, it's fucking anorexia, dysmorphia, dysphoria, gender dysphoria, PTSD. Like there's so many things that are connected to your perception of yourself that get real fucked up when the wires are crossed. And of course things are going to be weird. Of course I'm going to have long-standing issues with experiencing emotions and perceiving myself, and my perception is so fucked up. It literally feels like I'm experiencing my entire life from one room over. And when you're building on a foundation of disorientation, it's only going to get worse. And of course, like it's going to be difficult for somebody else to see these problems because I'm a kid. It's really difficult for me to put these experiences into words, and I was able to do some, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And now it's like things have cemented and calcified. And I don't know if I can get back to the default settings and what milestones I missed because my perception has always been fucked up. And now I have hallucinations, just straight up hallucinations, not illusions. It's not like a thing that exists is acting weird. I literally see things that aren't there. I literally hear things that aren't there. Like I remember having issues with sounds. Everything was louder than it actually was. And it would cause me so much anxiety. It's kind of weird because a lot of people's hallucinations are associated with things that are significant to them, whether it be significant good or significant bad. Usually it's like things that are bad. And a common hallucination is spiders. And I hallucinate spiders, but I'm not afraid of spiders. I actually really like spiders, and so it's really weird. But that's one of my big hallucinations. Is enormous or really small invisible spiders. And invisible is a weird word to use because like how do you see something that's invisible? But it's almost like when you watch Predator and the Predator like goes invisible and you can see like it's not an outline, it's like just transparent in a way where it still has kind of an outline. That's what the spiders are like for me. They're moving. I can see that there's something here, but they're invisible. That makes me sound fucking insane. But holy shit. Holy shit. I have to think about it some more because holy shit, but having issues with perception from a very young age, I definitely do think set the stage for having long-standing issues with perception and depression associated with not being able to interact with the world in a way that is congruent with reality. Um, it makes so much sense. Wow.